Afternoon. This is a public hearing. It is December 7th, 2022. It is 3:31 p.m. The topic for this hearing is the 5 Thurston County Commissioners District Boundary Lines. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, and Clerk of the Board, Jamie Caldwell. Also via Zoom, we have Auditor Mary Hall, as well as many of her staff members who have joined us. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on a proposed resolution increasing the number of county commissioners from 3 to 5 and the creation of 5 new commissioner districts boundary lines. Those wishing to testify have joined by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. County Manager Ramiro Chavez will provide information on this topic. Assuming members of the public on Zoom wish to testify, I will read your name out loud. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and address for the record, and the clerk of the board will review the timer. The public hearing is now open. County Manager Chavez will now present background information on the proposal, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. As a matter of background, RCW 3632.055, parenthesis 1, authorizes the Board of County Commissioners of a non-charter county, when it reaches the 300,000 population, to ask the voters of the county to authorize moving the county representation of the commissioners from 3 to 5. On June 30, 2002, the Washington State Office of Financial Management released the data population for Thurston County, and at this point we are at 300,500, which met that intent. On July 19, 2022, the Board of County Commissioners adopted a resolution number 16181, submitting a ballot proposition to the voters to decide whether or not to expand the Board of County Commissioners from 3 to 5. The voters spoke in the last general election. The general election was certified on November 29, 2022, and the voters approved by 55.19% moving forward. This particular ballot proposition only needed a simple majority. Prior to this resolution, 16181, the board approved a joint resolution between Thurston County and the Port of Olympia, and about December 13, 2021, establishing a mutual intent to collaborate on respective ballot measures for each jurisdiction to increase the number of commissioners representing each agency from 3 to 5. The Port of Olympia also passed the ballot measure, and they also are taking an action similar to what you're considering today. On July 25, 2022, the Board of County Commissioners also approved a memorandum of understanding with the Port of Olympia, which form what we call as the redistricting committee, and consisting of the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, the chair of the Port Commission as a voting members, and the county auditor sits as a non-voting or as an ex officio member, and also included the staff from the county as well as the staff from the port to help the elected officials going through this process. So the redistricting committee work on a parallel process and with the expectation that perhaps this ballot measure will be passed. One of the first meetings that occurred back in September 9, 2022, the redistricting committee outlined a schedule as to how we need to meet the intended deadlines, but also the redistricting committee outlined 6 major objectives as to how the redistrict maps should be accomplished. The first objective was to achieve equal population number by district, which is about 60,000 per district. The second objective was maintain current commissioners in their elected districts. That will be the Port Commission as well as the Board of County Commissioners. The next objective was any revise on the district lines should be follow precinct lines, avoiding splitting any precincts that we have in the county. The fourth objective was to have compact and contiguous as possible all the proposed districts. The fifth is maintain communities of mutual interest. And last but not least, no gerrymandering on those objectives. So the redistricting committee moved into this drawing of the lines. Those meetings were occur on the public. The public attended, the public provided testimony, both either on here on the floor as well as the individual commissioners received some public testimony. The redistricting committee went through many options as to how the 5 districts could be accomplished. The result of that process, the redistricting committee forwarded 2 options to both the Board of County Commissioners as well as the Port Commission, and these 2 options were what we call option B and option C. The Board of County Commissioners opted for option C as a preferred alternative back in September 28, 2022. The Port Commission also adopted option C as the preferred alternative on October 3rd, 2022. And that is the alternative that you have before you. At that point, the process is stopped until we know the results of the election. As I stated before, the voters approved to a large majority moving into a 5 commissioners representation. Next step in the process was the board to set a public hearing. As we stated in the past, this is not a requirement for you to hold a public hearing related to this particular action that you might be taking next week. However, I think it was prudent for you to receive public testimony before you consider taking that very important action in approving those districts. And this is where we are today. This public hearing was published on the Olympian on November 25th, 2022, as well as November 30th, 2022. We have received 2 public written testimonies so far. One is from the Thurston County Chambers. You have a copy of that letter before you, in which just outlines, thank the commission and encourages the commissioners to approve the boundaries for the 5 commissioners as presented to you. Today, you receive a written testimony from Mr. Tony Wilson, and a copy of that testimony is provided to you. So at this point, I would like to probably walk you through the next steps in the process. And the next steps in the process, as I have after the public testimony might receive, I will ask for the board to only close the public hearing today. I have scheduled already a meeting tomorrow with the redistricting committee to see, based on the public testimony you received today, if there is an opportunity to revise the boundaries. If that perspective is not, then that meeting will be canceled. But I have before you already an action for you to consider on December 13, next Tuesday, for you to consider approving the boundaries as presented. And that particular action is aligned to the Port Commission, because I believe the Port Commission also is still going to be taking a similar action to approve those districts' boundaries on their meeting on Monday, December 12th. That would be next Monday. And the way we work with the Port Commission in terms of the timelines, because the Port of Olympia has a specific restriction as to when, where and when those new districts should be submitted to the county auditor. And that deadline is December 31st, 2022. And that's how you see the schedule is presented to you, and that is why we have decided for your consideration next week on the 13th. So what is next? Assuming the board will consider approving the boundaries next Tuesday, we will be submitting those boundaries to the county auditor before the end of the year, and that will set the process as to the new elections of the two new commissioners. The election in gist will not change whatsoever. It will be the same on the primary election. It will be nominations by each commissioner in District 4 and District 5. And those two new candidates will be elected countywide, similar to what you go through the same process. And also the statute is very prescriptive. The commissioner who will be elected for position number 4, in this case, District number 4, will be elected for 1 year. And the commissioner on District 5, it will be elected for 3 years. And how the statute is very prescriptive, that will align to the staggered term elections that you currently have. So, and that is the intended purpose as to why that occurs. So, and nothing changes other than the staggering election. So in this particular case, the commissioner who will be elected on District 4 in 2023 most likely have to run again the following year, and that's how it's going to work. So it's going to be back-to-back. Commissioner in the District number 5 will serve for 3 years, and that will be aligned with I believe, with Commissioner Mensah, District number 3 election. And because the District number 1, District number 2 at this point will go through elections in 2024. And that's how the commissioner for District 4 will also run for that year at the same election. So with that in mind, I believe this is the map that you are considering for the 5 new districts is televised. As you can see, if I may go to this map. May go to this map. This is District 3, where Commissioner Mensah lives here in this precinct, as well as Commissioner Evans lives in this district as Commissioner Port Commission. I think the camera is capturing this.
So people via Zoom can see this?
I don't think so. But those individuals who are joining us via Zoom, can you see the map? You have a copy of the map? You didn't have a copy of the map. Okay. Can you help me with that? So I'm just going to talk here. So the area somewhat of in yellow is District 3. The area in red is District 1. The area on the dark blue is District 5. The area in orange is District 2. And the District 4 is in the light blue. And that's how we have stated that. All these maps have been available online and on our website to anybody who likes to see those maps. And you have the option to zoom in and zoom out to see all the different districts and the precincts. And you can probably see where you're located within the whole process. That is all I have for you today, but I'm open for any questions that you may have.
Can turn the map around. Okay. Questions? Commissioner Mensah, you have your hand raised?
It's not really about the map, but since both in the voter pamphlet and in one of the written comments we got, there was a suggestion about why don't we elect by district in the general. And it's probably worth stating that the statute that we use to enact this doesn't permit that. The only way to do that is by a charter, county charter.
Yeah, that is correct. In my statement, that the way how everything goes on the elections does not change. because the only way the county can probably elect by districts, those commissioners will have to go through a charter process. And that's not part of what the voters approved this past November.
We didn't have that opportunity to make that,
No.
to offer that choice or.
And you really don't have an option on that. Yeah.
But that option may exist once we hit 400,000, I believe. Then it becomes mandatory
Thank
by
you.
the state.
I knew you were going to be asking me that. There is another piece of the statute. When any non-charter county reaches a population of 400,000, it does not require a vote of the people. They will go into 5 commissioners. And those 5 commissioners on the 400,000 population county will be elected by district.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. But thank you for the question, sir.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So Auditor Hall, do you have any additional comments before we move into public testimony?
I just want to say how much we appreciate you drawing around whole precincts. It will make the redistricting process for us much easier. And we do have a very limited time frame to redraw these districts and re-precinct voters. So thank you very much for agreeing to do that. And my staff is up to the challenge.
Thank you. With that, we will move into public testimony. I will start with members of the public in the boardroom first, and then I will move on to Zoom. And if either Jamie or Ramiro can help me calling people on Zoom. So with that, I only have one person signed up, John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live in East Olympia, future District 4. I have no problem with the map. I think the map, it's a hard process, and I think that the way which it's set up, it doesn't provide any advantage or disadvantage to any particular person. I think it seems to be fair. Interesting enough, in viewing this, I had actually thought about the possibility that maybe of petitioning for changing to a home rule charter, of which, once again, that could basically align still with what you have laid out here. But there's some other advantages that a home rule charter can have. One of the things is that under current county commissioner status, whether it be 3 or 5, you don't have the right to for referendum within the current system, where with a county charter, the public could have a right to referendum for direction of how the process would work. And I think that's one of the things which, unless there's some special provision that as commissioners you decide to create a referendum process available to the public to be able to submit things, it's still a consideration to look into the possibility of going to a home rule in order to accommodate that. Get the people involved. Okay. There is a concern of mine that it's a philosophical thing as much as anything, which is I realize I'm talking to 3 commissioners here that they work hard. I'm sure you work hard. At least you'll tell me you work hard, and I'll believe it. But in a normal process of serving a group, it is a common thing that the salaries would be more aligned with the average salary within the people that live within the service area. A church hires their pastor, pays them the salary that's equivalent to the average salary. Currently, there's a huge expense involved with adding another 2 commissioners. You're talking another $700,000 a year in expense. And although I'm sure none of you would necessarily like to hear this, Pacific County, their commissioners work for $80,000 a year as opposed to $131,000 a year here in Thurston County. With a change to 5 commissioners, We also don't have a county executive who manages things as such. It's a legislative body is what you are. And so there could be some better open doors, whether we have to go the other direction to a charter to make adjustments or what. That's a consideration to align the impact, financial impacts of what happens to the people within the salaries of the people that are making the decisions. So that's just a note. I'm looking forward to 5 commissioners. As you know, I'm very comfortable reaching out to different people and talking directly. And it gives me a little bit of perhaps an easier lobbying position that I only have to manage to convince 3 people to make sense with making decisions instead of a limited group. And I think that as long as we can get good access to the people, maybe we can make things better. Still considering the home rule charter as a good option. Thank you much.
Thank you. Sir, would you like to provide? Okay, with that, there's no one else in the boardroom. We'll move on to Zoom.
Yeah, based on the Zoom screen, Mr. Tony Wilson, please go ahead. You have 4 minutes, sir. And I have distributed your written testimony that you submitted early today.
Yes, thank you very much. You do have it in hand and in print form, and since you discussed the charter issue at length, that cuts out about half of what I had to say. I think a home rule charter is something that this county should consider as the capital county of the state. For once in the last couple of years, I'm in agreement with Mr. Pettit. My name is Tony Wilson. I live in the northern part of the newly minted 4th Commission District. First, I'd like to say that I support this new approach to county governance and find the new redistricting map to be adequate and acceptable. In 10 years, the population will grow and spread out such that we'll have to address it again anyway. Second, I'm hopeful that we will find people competing to serve in these 2 districts with ideas and plans and not just complaints about who serves now. Further, with the addition of 2 more commissioners, there may be a tendency for 2 or more commissioners to try to act outside the public meetings, transacting the people's business outside the view of the people and without any record of such. I would certainly hope that everyone is aware of that being very ill-advised. I want to read something here that is from RCW 42.56.030, which is the State Public Records Act. I think it's one of the most majestic things I've ever read in the law. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies that serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may maintain control over the instruments that they've created. This chapter shall be liberally construed and its exemptions narrowly construed to promote this public policy and to assure that the public interest will be fully protected. In the event of a conflict between the provisions of this chapter and any other act, the provisions of this chapter shall govern. That's a remarkable statement of philosophy. It's a remarkable statement of what's required by county commissioners and all other elected people. And I'm gonna skip over the part about, that is outside your purview about the charter. But I really do think that should be considered strongly going forward. And it's not just because of the election of district representatives, which is a cleaner way to represent people, a more honest way to represent people, that the people in the district who have a certain philosophical bent will have true representation here. There are lots of other reasons to approach the charter rule too. Even though it has failed here before, it's been a very long time and it's maybe time to take a shot at it again. Thank you. I really do appreciate what you do and the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Jesse Simmons. Go ahead, sir. You have 4 minutes.
I have nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Ms. Vivian Eason. Go ahead. Have 4 minutes.
Hi, Hi, I'm recovering from a cold, so I thought I would stay home. I just wanted to state that, I wasn't for going to 5 county commissioners because we're just over the threshold, and I know it's a lot of money for the taxpayers to put out. I do agree that maybe you should consider taking less money since there's going to be 5 people doing the same job that you're doing now, because our population is only 500 people over the threshold. The other subject is, I noticed you made South County District to the southwest, District 4, so that person will have to run 2 years in a row. As you know, it's highly expensive. I know that. Highly expensive. It's like almost a whole year of your life running each time. And I don't know if that's by RCW that it has to be 1 year, or how you determined which district would be district number 4. But just the other thing I wanted to note is, I was out and about, met lots of people, is people want to be represented, and we do not have good media services in Thurston County to reach out to all of, I know you use the Olympian, but that doesn't cover a lot in South County at all, is making sure that when you're representing the citizens of Thurston County, that you're representing everyone and not bipartisan. And I don't mean that rudely or disrespectfully, but a lot of times it's like you're voting for something that your party would want you to vote for, when you should be representing the people that you serve. And some of that is things like, increasing fees for things right now when people are striving to make a living. And I've watched that county employees are taking a pay cut basically this year, the non-union, due to increases in L&I and very low COLA. And I just think that you should really think about representing as a nonpartisan, in a nonpartisan sense, that you're representing people that vote for you. We don't get a lot of communication unless you're on the internet and you're watching it closely. Facebook does not pop up to tell you that Thurston County posted anything on Facebook. So finding out about information, I believe that a county commissioner should be at least weekly or monthly reaching out to his constituents or his or hers and keeping them up to date. Sandra Romero used to do like coffee with the commissioner, where she would go to her district and she would actually meet with those people and talk to them and hear their concerns. So that's just been my thing. And as Ty knows, I'm very passionate about the citizens of Thurston County, and him and I had a great election. I meant to write him a letter. I got sick not too long after, being exhausted, I think. So I just really appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that will conclude public testimony, Manager.
Thank you. With that, are there any additional questions or comments commissioners would like to ask at this time? Commissioner Edwards, we'll start with you.
No additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer?
No, good, thank you.
Okay, nothing for me. So with that, there's an action to close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
All for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. With that, County Manager, what's the next step?
The next step, based on the public testimony, I will go ahead and cancel the redistrict meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow, and I will bring a resolution, an ordinance, for you to consider approving, a resolution for you to consider approving the districts as presented next Tuesday. And that is already scheduled for you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the port, as well as Mary and her staff, the GIS team. I was part of the redistricting committee, and I just really want to thank them for their support and for the information we were given during that time. And thank you to the voters, for helping us pass this resolution. And with that, it is 4:01 p.m. We are adjourned.